Pamajanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurimitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Shri Rupa Sagrata Sahagana Raghunatambitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So you are welcome. So let us start with our shloka recitation. Yes, Mother Angel.
Okay, try Prabhu, 14, chapter 14, verse 20. Gun, gun, wait. Gunanita sakita triha samudabha janma matyodara dukha binokto mertam asmati. Translation: the embodied the embodied soul, the embodied soul, the embodied soul is able to translate these three modes association with the material body. He can become free from birth and age, old age, and disease, and he he can enjoy the he can enjoy nectar even in this life. 14 verse 26. Mam Chayobacharina Bhakti Yogina Sibate Sagunam
Saitam Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate
Sagunam. I'll go to translation. One who engages in full devotional service and feeling and also transit and at once transit the symbol of material nature. He material nature he becomes to the level of Brahma.
Sorry, thank you. Next, Maraniki.
Okay, chapter 14, text 20. Gunanitaratin shatrin dehi dehan samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukha vimuktu mritam ashnate. Translation: when the embodied being is able to transcend the three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and other distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Chapter 14, text 26. Mamchayo vevacharena bhakti yogena sevate saguna samati chaitan brahma puya kalpate. Translation: one who is engaged in pure devotional service and failing in all circumstances at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next.
Me.
Yes, please.
Chapter 14, verse 20. Gunan etan. Oh, I see. See, 1 second, Prabhu. I forgot.
Okay. Okay.
Gunan
Pronunciation.
etan. What was that? Gunan etan. Ah, okay. Got it. Gunan etan atityatrin. Um, what was the next one?
Deha.
Ah, okay. I got it now. Gunan etan atityatin deha dehis. Dehi deha samudbhavan. Janma mrityu jara dukhair. Vimukto mritam ashnute. Translation: when the embodied being is able to transcend the three modes, which is associated with the material body, he becomes free from birth, old age, diseases, and their distresses. Sorry, there's no diseases. 'Cause- Wait, bravo. He becomes free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Chapter 14, verse 26. Mam chayo vyabecharena bhakti yogena sevate sa gunan samatitetan brahman bhuyaya kalpate. Translation: one who is engaged in full devotional service, at unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the three modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you, Mother Tripura. My fan is always making noise. Mother Tripura.
My network.
We can hear you now.
Hare Krishna. 14.20. Gunaneta naditya trindehi deha samudbhava janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukte amritashnute. Translation: when the embodied being is able to transcend the modes associated with the material body, he becomes free from birth, death, old age, and distress, and he can enjoy nectar even in this life. 14.26. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyyaya kalpate. Translation: one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, he at once he transcend the modes of nature and attains the level of Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to try Mother Shaya?
Okay, Prabhuji. 14.20 14.20 Gunan itan atitya trin dehi deha samun bavat janma mirtyu jara dukhar hold on, I forgot.
Vimukti. Vimukti.
Pramukti mrityu asnesto. Sorry,
Asnute.
asnate. I'm sorry. Asnate translations. When the material embodiment transcend the three modes of the material nature due to the association of this material body, he will be free from death, birth and death, and old age and diseases, and can enjoy the nectar of this life. Hare Krishna. I'll try better tomorrow. Thank
No,
you.
it's okay. Thank you very much for trying. A person I want to appreciate more is Mother Angel. Even though she's sick, she's not feeling fine, but still, she's still trying to recite. I'm really impressed. Well done, Mother Angel, okay? Thank you very much for pushing more energy, okay? She's not feeling well, but still, she's trying to recite. Thank you for encouraging all of us. Okay, let's quickly summarize what we done last time.
We had a presentation, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
last Friday.
Okay, let's give feedback. Okay, let's give feedback of our presentation. Let us pick someone. Okay, pick somebody and give feedback. Who you think that needs your help? Let's do that very fast. 1 minute feedback.
Prabhu, it's better if you assign someone to give feedback because no one will pick anyone.
Okay. Okay. So Mother Ashraya, you give feedback to Mother Lakshmi. And Mother Lakshmi, you do vice versa. Okay. Mother Tripura, you give feedback to Mother Nikki, vice versa. Mother Angel and Mother Ashraya, vice versa. And who again remaining? Prabhu David and who has not gotten?
Me, you didn't give me any.
No, I gave you.
No, you did not.
Okay, you are Prabhu David. Okay, vice versa. Okay.
Are you going to put us in breakout rooms so we can discuss with each other?
You say what?
Are you going to put us in breakout rooms so we can discuss?
No, not break rooms. You speak here.
Mm.
We are giving feedback. We are not talking about discussion in privacy.
No, sometimes feedback in private can be very constructive.
No, we don't do that here.
Okay.
No. Madam Yerika, you are the first I gave person, no?
No, Prabhu. It was Mother Lakshmi and Mother Asraya.
No.
No,
I said, Mother-
Prabhu. See, everyone is agreeing with me. See, they're
okay.
nodding their heads.
That just means they're
Madam
also.
Nikki, who are you giving feedback to?
Mother Tripura.
Mother Ashraya, who are you giving feedback to?
Mother Lakshmi.
Okay. So, Mother Nyarika, okay, you give to Prabhu David, and David you give to Mother Nyarika. Okay, so let's start. I didn't know I'd not give. I was thinking I gave you Lakshmi. Sorry. Okay, let's start. Okay, let's start with the first people I mentioned their name. Mother Lakshmi and Prabhu, Mother Ashraya, you are the first, no? Why are you wasting our time?
Okay. Sorry, Prabhuji. Okay. Hare Krishna. So I wanted to give feedback to Matar Lakshmi. She have been improved so much from her previous presentation, and I'm so impressed. She put so much her effort, her heart in each of the pictures, and mostly of her presentations, and she really like explain it very well as well, and she even adds sounds that is more engaging. My feedback is only is if she could add some like how do you call it, engaging pictures that could really like make us more like hook, and less words, because sometimes we don't understand everything like if it's written so much, but she explained it very nicely. So thank you so much, Mata Lakshmi. I appreciate you. Hare Krishna.
Mother Lakshmi,
Yeah, Prabhu.
wait, let me just chip in something. Say,
I'll improve next presentation.
oh, wait. When the feedback is given to you, you are not supposed to defend or respond, okay? You just take notes, okay?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Then we are practicing what Krishna taught us to be indifferent. That is what we are practicing here. Okay. So if you're giving a feedback, you just take note of what the person is saying, whether it's right or wrong. Just take notes, okay? And then one other thing I wanted to mention is that sometimes you don't need to, if there's nothing to improve, it's okay. Just say, okay, I like this, just make sure you tell us what you like about that person's presentation. It's as simple as that. It's not compulsory that you must find something or if there's something to improve, it's okay. Okay, just say, okay, I like this, I like that, I like that. You must tell us what you like in that presentation, okay? And if there's nothing, okay, you don't want to, there's nothing for the person to improve, then it's okay. You understand? Like that, okay? So let's continue. Just let me mention that. Like I said again, feedback is more of a burger. You say something good, your room for improvement. When you're giving your room for improvement, don't use negative word like but, any negative conjunction or whatever, you know them. You can say moreover, or in addition, you can do this, you can do like that. Just make sure it's positive, okay? When you want to mention the room for improvement, okay? Okay, so let's continue. Thank you.
About the Ashray Mata presentation, I like the AI voice which Mata generated. I really impressed how she always comes with a new thing to present and to the everybody. And the music is so nice. Uh, she really explains pin to pin point, which nothing goes like beyond the perception what we don't see. She always explains very clearly in her presentation. I always like the Mata's presentation. So I guess I don't have any room for improvement for you. Okay, Krishna.
Okay, thank you very much. If we don't have any room, let me now add more. Like Mother Lakshmi, thank you for that. Let me add more. Even though if you don't have any room for improvement, don't say it. You just say, I'm telling you, now we are building our feedback, how to give feedback in terms of what we are doing here. It's okay. So let's say, for example, now you mentioned all the things you like in our presentation. You don't have room for improvement. So you don't need to say it. Okay, Mother, I love your pictures. I love your presentation. I love the way you explain this particular point in the second page of your presentation. You really stress on that point. I really love that. And I love the conclusion of your presentation. It was so inspiring. So thank you very much for that wonderful presentation, Hare Krishna, like that. Okay, next.
Okay, so feedback for Mother Tripura's presentation. So her chapter was chapter 11, the universal form. She started really strong because the theme of her presentation is like a movie, watching a movie in the cinemas. And so it's related to the chapter itself, because remember when we were discussing this chapter, Prabhu Kavi had described what Arjuna was seeing when Krishna was showing him his universal form. It was like a movie, right? So the theme of her presentation, Mother Tripura's presentation, is really accurate to what we described before when we were discussing this chapter. So kudos to that. Okay. And for the rest of the summarization, it was really, really excellent because she got the right points of the chapter, showing pictures of Krishna giving Arjuna the divine vision or the divine eyes, right? And then Arjuna seeing the many versions of Krishna, his many forms, and then after that he was terrified by seeing so many really gruesome or how do you say that, like gruesome and abominable figures that Krishna had shown Arjuna. And so it really brought Arjuna to like his feet. He was so scared that those forms or those entities can be procured by Krishna himself. And so Mother Tripura has explained that very, very clearly in her presentation. And then afterwards, in the last part of her summary, she showed us pictures of Krishna showing his four-handed form, and then later on his two-handed form to Arjuna, making a really great conclusion to the whole chapter, which is seeing Krishna's universal form, chapter 11. So great presentation, great execution, great visuals, 100%. Really, really great. Excellent altogether. Thank you, Mother Tripura, Hare Krishna. Really great. And the improvement, right? It's crazy, Prabhu. The improvement of Mother Tripura I remember when we first presented, like when we had like our first presentation, we were just kids. We were messy. Everything was messy, and now it's so polished and just so well executed. So very good, Mother Tripura. Hope you do well next time too.
Very nice. Okay. Mother Tripura, your turn.
Yeah.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
No, it's not like that. His mother presentation was so cool and calm. Like every time she uses a background and everything like seems so cool and calm. It represents her. Chatur Slokas, like Mata was describing about Chatur Slokas in her presentation. Actually, when we came to that chapter, we were specifically pointing out those Chatur Shloki and how important they are. So we were stressed on it to memorize and recite. So I thought like Mata will concise it or something, but she did not concise. She very well mentioned everything clearly. She explained it so neatly, showing what is the difference among those four shlokas and made us to understand in a very simple way. Yeah, Mata, that is what like I felt very happy. Like Chadushloka is the one like we if we understand that shlokas, everything will be understood. So you focused on that concept and gave us very clear presentation. That is what I like about your presentation. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So who is going next? Who again next?
Mother Angel to
Mother
Mother
Angel.
Asraya, and Mother
Mother
Asraya to
Asraya.
Mother Angel.
Mother
Huh?
Angel.
Mother Ashanis already gave the feedback to Mother.
That's what Prabhu Kavi said earlier.
It's
Oh.
already done. Maybe Mother Migananda.
Mother Angel. Okay, it's all right. That was the mistake. That was where the mistake was. I didn't give Mother Angel anybody. Because I wanted to connect it with Mother Nyadika, then it escaped my mind. Okay, you want me to... Mother Meganand, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm there.
Okay, so Mother Angel, you give to Mother Meganand, Meganand, you give to Mother Angel. Okay, complete.
Okay, okay, Prabhuji.
Who is starting?
Martha will start.
Mother Angel start, no?
Okay, I'll start, Prabhu. Because Prabhu, to be honest, I'm not paying attention at that moment because I have having problem with my presentation.
Oh, okay, it's all right.
So that's why. I'm
No,
sorry.
so if you cannot give feedback, it's okay. Okay? It's all right. Mother Meganand, do you have anything to say about Mother Angel presentation that day?
Actually, I'm not able to recognize Prabhuji. I'm sorry to say this.
Okay, the two of you cancel each other out. It's okay. Let's move on.
Sorry, Mataji. I'm not able to recognize.
Okay, Mother Niharika, it's your turn now.
Okay, Prabhu. So my feedback with Prabhu David. So the presentation was actually good in a way, and the phone example that was given during his presentation was also good. Like you could relate something from that, or you can take something from that as an example. And then when he presented the key verses of the chapters, that was really good. I liked it. It was nice. Like you can see the key verses of those chapters, and you can take note what those key verses are, and you can read more about it. So that's something that I liked in the presentation. And with regards to the room for improvement, at first I heard like he said like chapters 23, 24, 25. And I was like, what do you mean chapters 24, 23, 24, 25? There's only 18 chapters in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So I think when you come to that kind of mindset when you are presenting and you are and I also heard in his presentation that he said something like, I don't know about this path. I can only speculate. So when you say something like that while you are presenting towards people, people doesn't want to listen to speculation, and that's what we're taught in this philosophy as well, to never speculate. So I think it would be better. It really would be really nice to quote from Srila Prabhupada itself, the explanation with regards to what you were trying to explain, because Srila Prabhupada explained everything very nicely in his purport. So you can take notes from the purport of Srila Prabhupada and quote from Srila Prabhupada and say like, oh, Srila Prabhupada said this, and this is how Srila Prabhupada explained. So people can get that, and then you don't have to speculate anything. And then with regards to the presentation as well, it would be really good to make it less wordy, because you see, when the presentation is very wordy, it doesn't catch the eye of the listeners, or most people or many people in this world are very visual. So it would be very nice to put a lot of pictures and entertaining pictures, like or if you want the presentation to be wordy in a way, then like get it, or like make it entertaining, make your voice lively, so that you can get the attention of your listeners. Because it would be nice if like you make it balanced. If your presentation is kind of wordy, then make it more entertaining by your voice and how you explain it. Or if your presentation is kind of like a lot of pictures, then you can get the attention of the listeners already with those pictures, and you can just explain briefly, because pictures explains thousand words. So that's one thing that we can get from that. So basically, that's all I have for Prabhu David. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your feedback. Prabhu David, now it's your turn.
I will be honest, I didn't write any feedback for anybody. And I didn't, and I enjoyed all of the presentations so much. They helped enlighten me in so many ways, because I missed a lot of classes before and didn't fully understand some things, and some of these things were made clear.
Okay, so now you know that next time when the bodies are giving their presentation, please listen and take notes. Now that you have been part of the presentation now, because when we take notes, we help each other to become better. You see, that is the essence of this feedback we are doing. You see, that is why we make sure that the feedback is done in a very positive way, so that we don't make each other feel bad. And that's why I try my best to see that we give the feedback in a very positive way. So because we can only help each other to become better and better until we become best. So
that's right.
That is the purpose of feedback. And also it helps us, like you see other devotees, they give, even though they don't have any room for improvement, they say, okay, I like this particular part of your presentation. I love this particular person. So the person also will feel, okay, next time I should do more on this side, because it's interesting to others. So even though if you don't have anything to say about room for improvement, whatever you like about someone's presentation, you can take note down next time, Prabhu. Okay? Thank you very much. Because that is the best way of helping each other. Like whenever, if I'm speaking now, consciously or subconsciously, you are taking note of something in my speech. Consciously or subconsciously, it's natural. Okay, oh, probably say this. Oh, that is very wonderful. Then if I make some mistake, oh, why did he say that? What does that mean? Oh, he didn't say it well. So it happens consciously or subconsciously. We just have to bring it to the conscious. When it's time for presentation, we have to bring it to the conscious level. Okay, oh, I love that picture. I love the way you explained that particular point. So I put it down. I love the way, so like that. So because this exercise is going to continue until we finish the Bhagavad Gita. And also we'll continue when we get to the next, studying the next book also. So let us do this to improve each other. Okay, Prabhu, thank you very much. I'm very happy that you enjoy everyone's presentation. But next time, you should write what you like about those things you enjoy in their presentation. Okay? That okay?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Madam Nikki, wanted to say something?
You did not assign a person for Mother Bhavani.
Where's Mother Bhavani? He's not here.
But she did present last Friday.
Yeah, she gave presentation, but she's not here. That's why she didn't got anyone. She's not here. She gave a very wonderful presentation, actually. Yeah, the presentation was very nice. I was surprised because she was busy doing other things, but when they asked to give presentation, the way she gave the presentation showed that she understood the chapter in a proper way, which I really appreciate the presentation. Because see, one thing, most important thing about this presentation is I want to see how much we understood the chapter. And that will show in your presentation. You see? So when you are giving your presentation, I will know how much you understood the chapter, how much, like I say again, I said the other on the Friday, I said that we should quote Prabhupada. Because we are studying the purport also when we are reading each as we are studying the verses, we are studying the purports. So there's no way you can explain a particular chapter without mentioning Prabhupada once. That is not good. At least we should say something about Prabhupada. Okay, Prabhupada said like this about this, but this chapter like this in this way. At least one statement in the purport of the chapter that directly links to Prabhupada. Because without Prabhupada, we cannot have the translation. Without Prabhupada, we cannot have the proper understanding of that chapter. So, then as we are giving our presentation, let us find one way or the other to give credit to Srila Prabhupada in our presentation. Is that okay? We will really appreciate that. Because we are studying the purport. I think somebody gave mention Prabhupada. Only one or two of the presenters mentioned Prabhupada. If I'm not forgetting, one or two people mentioned Prabhupada in the presentation. But generally, I want us to mention what Srila Prabhupada saying, because there's no how you can study a whole chapter without mentioning Srila Prabhupada. Without him, we cannot understand that chapter. Okay? And also, we should try as much as possible to use Srila Prabhupada's, even though we know the Sanskrit for each chapter, let us use Prabhupada translation of the title of the chapter whenever we want to give presentation. Let's use Prabhupada's translation. Okay, let's continue. So, so we stop in chapter 15, text number 6. The other day, that was on Thursday. We're talking about Krishna mentioning. Yes, Prabhuji.
I'm sorry, but you said use Prabhupada's translation, and then I thought, on this application that you showed me before, where I have the Bhagavad Gita on my phone.
Yes, Prabhu.
At the top, it says Bhagavad Gita as it is, 1972, and it says Bhagavad Gita as it is. Is one of those not Prabhupada's translations?
No. There's so many editions in ISKCON. It's okay. 1972 is okay, but there are so many editions also in of Bhagavad Gita in the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Well, it said that one also is Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita. No, what I mean by the title means like in chapter 8. Chapter 8 is attaining the supreme, isn't it? And chapter 9 is confidential knowledge.
Yeah.
And chapter 10 is what is chapter 10? The title.
The opulence.
The opulence of the absolute. You see? So these are proper translation of the title. In Sanskrit, they have different meaning. But Prabhupada gave us the English translation. I mean, when we want to do that, we should use Prabhupada's English translation as our title.
Forgive me, Prabhu, but which one is the better translation? The one that's from 1973 or the one that's not?
Well, what I'm saying, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the book itself now. I'm talking about the title of each chapter.
Yes.
Yes, we can use 1972 edition. You can use the latest edition of Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
All this, I'm okay with all. Because what happened is that there are some, let me give you a little history about this edition thing. There was some devotee who thought that the BBT chairman changed Prabhupada's book. You know, there was a challenge that they thought that they said that he changed Prabhupada's book. So they took ISKCON to court, and they won that they can print their own edition that they feel that is correct. Okay, so since then, those group of devotees, they have been printing that the old day edition, the first edition of Prabhupada, translated by Ayagriva Prabhu. But me, I don't have problem with those printed the edition, that edition. But the thing that is there, let me tell you the reality about this whole thing. It's like this. When Prabhupada came to the West, Prabhupada translated the book to English. And those days, in the early days, many of the Prabhupada disciples, they could not understand properly Prabhupada tonation. They could not, because Prabhupada has a Bengali tonation, okay? So in those early days, they could not understand Prabhupada tone. You know what I mean? So it was very difficult for some of them, especially those who were doing the translation, who was translating the books. So they made so many mistakes when they were trying to put the book into writing for Prabhupada. Listen to what Prabhupada said. They made some mistakes. And later on, Prabhupada gave the BBT. The BBT, I made this person the BBT shaman. English is his language. He can edit my book. Prabhupada gave that authority. English is his first language. He can edit my book. So Prabhupada gave that authority. Okay? So, but other devotees, so many things happen in ISKCON. Some other devotee came, oh, nobody can change Prabhupada's book. Prabhupada is a pure devotee. No. Yeah, we know Prabhupada is a pure devotee, but Prabhupada gave authority to BBT because Prabhupada himself is the one who set up BBT different from ISKCON. BBT is completely different from ISKCON. BBT, they are in charge of printing Srila Prabhupada books. And Prabhupada give them autonomy. Say they can do, they can manage their own organization separate from ISKCON so that ISKCON will not disturb their own funding like that. So, and he gave the authority to specifically Jayadutta Swami Maharaj, who is the BBT chairman, that he can edit my book. So, and many of those thoughts that those people who came up with that situation came, many of the things they pointed out, later on was discovered by many devotees from Prabhupada's original transcript dictaphone that there was error. And that is what the BBT were trying to do. So many of these things came up, but it's not our duty to start going deep into that. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that as a devotee, even though we have those devotees went and print the first edition, it's okay. The latest edition is okay because there's no difference. It's all Prabhupada books. So whichever one you want to read, you are free to read them. Whether the first edition or the last edition, they are all Prabhupada's books. They are printed by BBT. So whichever one, okay? So let us feel free. That is why even sometimes those devotees who printed that book, they bring it to ISKCON. With ISKCON still distribute the books anyway. They don't discriminate. This is Prabhupada book. They still distribute it. They're not, there's no problem for them. So all these things, devotees come up with all these things, but they are not big issue for those who really understand the purpose behind them. Okay? So that is the point. Any other comments or contribution?
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So you are free to read any edition you feel comfortable to read, Prabhu. Okay? So let's continue. So after Krishna finished describing his abode, so Krishna now going to describe the constitutional position of the living entity. Okay. Mamaibam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasastani indriyani prakriti-stani garshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with 6 senses, which include the mind. So you can see, Krishna is describing, this verse is very, very famous. When we come to memorization of verses, we are going to memorize this verse in chapter 15. Once we finish with the other one. This verse is very, very important verse for us. The living entity in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Mama Ibam so jiva loke jiva bhutas. If you wake me from dream, wake me from sleep, I will remember this verse. I will just 15:7. Mama Ibam so jiva loke jiva bhutas anatana manasastani indriyani prakriti-stani garshati. Just wake me from sleep. I will say it without looking at the book. It's very, very important verse for us to memorize. Because this verse is saying that we are eternally part of Krishna. That is our original constitutional position. We are part and parcels of Krishna. But now, because we have found ourselves in this material world, we are conditioned. We are conditioned because we have come into this body and we are conditioned. So we are struggling. What are we struggling with? The senses. Our eyes, the nose, the tongue, the skin, the ears, and ultimately the mind. We are struggling with all these things. Our mind, our senses, they want to experience different kind of things. Our mind is telling us, go for this, go for that. So we are struggling. But our original nature is that we are part of Krishna. That should not be forgotten. Okay, let's read the purport.
I'll read it, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
In this verse, the identity of the living being is clearly given. The living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally. It is not that he assumes individuality in his conditional life and in his liberated state becomes one with the Supreme Lord. He is eternally fragmented. It is clearly said, Sanatana, according to the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansions, of which the primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva and the secondary expansions are called the living entities. In the other words, the Vishnu Tattva is the personal expansion and the living entities are the separate expansions. By his personal expansion, he is manifested in many various ways, like Lord Rama, Nrsimhadeva, Vishnumurti, and all predominating deities in the Vaikuntha planets. The separated expansions, the living entities, are eternally servitors. The personal expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the individual identities of the Godhead are always present. Similarly, the separated expansions of living entities have their identities. As a fragmental parts and the parcels of the Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fragmental portions of his qualities, of which independence of one. Every living entity, as an individual soul, has his personal individuality and a minute form of independence. By misuse of that independence, one becomes a conditioned soul, and by proper use of independence, he is always liberated. In either case, he is qualitatively eternal, as the Supreme Lord is. In his liberated state, he is freed from this material condition, and he is under the engagement of transcendental service unto the Lord. In his conditioned life, he is dominated by the material modes of nature, and he forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As a result, he has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in this material world. The living entities, not only human beings and the cats and the dogs, but even the greater controllers of the material world, Brahma, Lord Shiva, and even Vishnu, are all parts and parcel of Supreme Lord. They are all are eternal, not temporary manifestations. The word kasati, struggling or grappling hard, is very significant. The conditioned soul is bound up as though shackled by iron chains. He is bound up by the false ego, and the mind is the chief agent which is driving him in this material existence. When the mind is in the mode of goodness, his activities are good. When the mind is in the mode of passion, his activities are troublesome. When the mind is in the mode of ignorance, he travels in the lower spaces of life. It is clear, however, in this verse that conditioned soul is covered by the material body with the mind and the sense. When he is liberated, this material covering perishes, but his spiritual body manifests itself in its individual capacity. The following information is there in the Majjandinaya Sriti. Sava esam Brahmanista idam sariram Madhyam Atisriya Brahma Abhisampadhya Brahmana Pasyati Brahmana Snoti Brahmana Vedam Brahmanaidam Sarvam Anubhavati. It is stated here that when a living entity gives up this material embodiment and enters into the spiritual world, he revives his spiritual body, and in his spiritual body, he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He can hear and speak to him face to face, and he can understand the Supreme Personality as he is. From Smriti, also it is understood Vasanti Yatra Purusha Sarve Vaikunta Murthaye. In the spiritual planets, everyone lives in bodies created like the Supreme Personality of Godheads. As far as bodily construction is concerned, there is no difference between the part and parcel living entities and the expansion of Vishnumurti. In other words, as liberation, the living entity gets a spiritual body by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Mamaiva Mahasaha, the fragmental parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord, are also very significant. The fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is not like some material broken part. We have already understood in the second chapter that the spirit cannot be cut into pieces. This fragment is not materially conceived, it is not like matter, which can be cut into pieces and joined together again. That conception is not applicable here because the Sanskriti word Sanatana, eternal, is used. The fragmental portion is eternal. It is also stated in the beginning of the second chapter that in each and every individual body, the fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is present. Dehino smiyat dehi. That fragmental portion, when liberated from the bodily entanglement, revives its original spiritual body in the spiritual sky, in a spiritual planet, and enjoys association with the Supreme Lord. It is, however, understood here that the living entity, being the fragmental part and the parcel of the Supreme Lord, is qualitatively one with the Lord, just as the parts and parcel of the gold are also gold. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So, yeah, Krishna already explained the nature of the living entity. So, in our coming verses, also, it's going to talk more about the position of the living entity. How, just like in the beginning, Krishna described about the material world and about the three modes of material world and how is the three modes of material controlling everything, and explain how we can get out of this material world, talking about the banyan tree and the reflection of the banyan tree, how we can get out of by detachment and surrendering to the Lord. Then now the Lord is talking about, okay, once you get out, you come to that my divine abode, which is eternal, and that place is transcendental, it's not, it doesn't need light, it's completely illuminated by, it's self-illuminated. So he described it about that is abode. And in particular, here now Krishna is talking about the living entity now. Okay, how the living entity, they are eternally part of him, and due to conditioned life, they are struggling in this material. So in the coming verses, Krishna will talk more about living entity, how they are moving from one body to another. Then again, in 15, Krishna will now talk about the two kinds of living entity, fallible and infallible. That in this material world, the living entity are fallible, and in the spiritual world, the living entity are infallible. That brings me to a point, it's a very controversial point in Krishna consciousness or in ISKCON, which many devotees, they always have some reservation in talking about, and conservation in talking about this kind of points, that if we are being in the spiritual world, then what is the assurance that when we go, if we are fall down from the spiritual world, what is the assurance that when we go there, we will not come back? When Krishna again and again is telling us that when we go back to the spiritual world, we will never come back here. So many devotees, they used to have this question. And Prabhupada many a times said that devotees should not bother with this question. We should just bother about getting out of this material world first. Because when you are drowning, we don't ask question, why am I drowning? You want to get out of the water first. But I would like to put more little light to that for the purpose of those who want to know. Because Bhakti Thakur explained some points about this in his book also. So it's like this. There are two kinds of living entity. One are from the internal potency of Krishna, the other one are from the managing energy of Krishna. Okay? Those who are from the internal potency of Krishna, they are the Shrimati Radharani, associates, the cowherd boys, the cowherd girls, those devotees in the spiritual world who are intimate associates of Krishna. Those living entities, they are from the internal energy of Krishna. They will never, they are infallible. They are always in the spiritual world. They will never come to this material world. Then there's another living entity, they are called the marginal living entity. Those marginal living entity, when we talk about marginal living entity, we're talking about the living entity who came from the Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is the one lying on the marginal position of the universe. It's lying on the Viraj ocean, the place that demarcates the material world from the spiritual world. So whenever Mahavishnu breathes out, it breathes out all the living entity in this material world. When it breathes in, all this living entity go back inside it. So this pastime of Mahavishnu is going on eternally. But because Krishna is a supreme sweet personality, he comes here to the material world to attract those living entities coming out again and again in this marginal position, to invite them to join his other eternally liberated devotees in the spiritual world. So once you go to that place, surely you will never come back. Okay, so sometimes out of force ego, we may not be able to understand this kind of philosophy, but the more we become humble and understand our position, then it becomes more clearer to us that we just have to be humble. Okay, we're from the marginal potency of Krishna, and Krishna has given us opportunity to join him in his supreme abode, which is the most special thing we can get. Let us do that and take it very serious and go back to his eternal abode, and we'll never come back to here in the material world again. Okay, so Krishna is going to explain all this in a nutshell in this part. So Krishna will mention that there are living entities that are fallible, there are those who are not fallible. Then towards the end of the chapter, Krishna will explain about his supreme nature, how he is the supreme personality of Godhead, and it doesn't fall down when it comes to the material world also, because he's the supreme spirit. Okay, every other spirit comes from him. So, like that. So it's completely transcendental to the nature of the material world. Any question or comments? No question? Okay, if there's no question, let's continue. Shariram ya abapnoti yashap yokta utkramat shishwara kriyatvaitani samyati vayugada ivavashad. So Krishna is saying here, the living entity in the material world carries this different conception of life from one body to another. As the hair carries aromas, thus it takes one kind of body, again quickly to take another. So just let us understand this verse. Krishna is saying, even in this material world, carry is different conception of life from one body to another. Okay? Just like the air carries aroma. What do you understand by this air carry aroma analogy Krishna used? Let's deliberate on this verse, then we'll go into the purport. Already we have explained it before. I just will ask whether we remember. Nobody is speaking. Okay, since nobody is speaking, let's read the purport.
I read it, Prabhu.
Yes, please go ahead.
Here the living entity is described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade, and if he likes, he can move to a lower class. Minute independence is there. The change his body undergoes depends upon him. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him on the next type of body. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or dog, he is sure to change to a cat's or dog's body. And if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into a form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka in the spiritual world and will associate with Krishna. It is a false claim that after the annihilation of this body everything is finished. The individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another, and his present body and present activities are background of his next body. One gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit this body in due course. It is stated that here that the subtle body, which carries the conception of the next body, develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigrating from one body to another and struggling while in the body is called karshati, or struggle for existence.
Prabhupada explained very wonderfully the purport, but Prabhupada did not answer my question that I'm asking you. For you to understand what Prabhupada have explained in the purport, you need to answer my question. What does that mean by that analogy Krishna used? Because unless you answer that question, you will not understand what Prabhupada also is explaining in the purport. What is the meaning of that analogy used? I want somebody to explain to me, please.
So here, Prabhu, it's like likened to an air, right? That carries another aroma, or many aromas in its life. So it's like the air is like the spirit soul. So the spirit soul shifts from one body to another. That is called transmigration. So it changes forms, it changes bodies, changes karma based on the karma of the body, right? And the living entity. So just like air, when it flows in the air, does that make sense? It catches the aroma that it passes through. So if it smells bad, if it smells good, if it smells fresh, the air carries it with it.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy for at least someone responded to my question. Thank you very much. I'm very happy you respond to that, and you explained it very wonderfully. But you only expect what you explain one part of the question. So I'm going to explain the second part of the question. Thank you very much. Okay. So the explanation is wonderful. But the second one I'm looking for is that the air carries the aromas, but the air is not attached to the aroma. You see, as the air carries the aromas, if it smells good, you will feel it. And the air continues. When it gets to a good one, when it carry bad aroma, it goes on, it drops it, then it carry good aroma. The air is not attached to the aroma. I don't know if you get my point. So similarly, the soul is carrying different body, but the soul itself is different from the different nature is carrying. It's just like a soul carry the impression of a cat, become a cat in its next body. Doesn't mean that the soul has become cat. It's only the soul carrying the body of a cat. When it leaves the body of a cat and get a human body, the soul still remains same, but now it's carrying the impression of human being. Then when it leaves that body, it carries the body of a demigod. It's still the same soul, so the soul is completely detached from whichever body is carrying, but based on the most of nature that is influencing the body is carrying, the soul acts like that. That is the nature, that is the meaning of this analogy Krishna used by the air and aroma. I hope, is it clear?
Yes, Prabhu, it's clear.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. So that is, I just feel like explaining why Krishna used that analogy in this particular verse. It's a very, very important analogy for us to understand how the soul is moving from one body to another. And that is why you see in the purport, Prabhupada explained towards the end of the purport how in the purport, Prabhupada explained that, and if he has fixed his consciousness on godly quality, he will change into the form of a demigod. It started by, if he has made his consciousness like a cat and dog, he's sure to change to cat and dog. And if he's consciousness on godly quality. So Prabhupada is explaining that in the purport. But if you don't understand the way I explain it, you will not understand what Prabhupada is explaining in the purport. But that is what Prabhupada is trying to explain in the purport. That the soul changing body, but the soul is completely detached from the body is carrying. because the soul is part of Krishna. That's why Krishna explained what is the nature of the soul in the previous verse we have read. Krishna explained that the soul is part of me, but the soul is struggling with the mind and the senses. And that is why, because of this, the soul is struggling with the mind and the senses, the soul is able to take all the different kind of bodies, whether demigod, the cats, and these. But because the soul is part of me, it remains the same. It's not disturbed. It's not attached to all these different bodies carrying. But based on the influence of the modes of nature, it carries a particular kind of body in its different journey of life. We're going to hear more about this in the coming verses. Okay? Is that clear? Thank you very much. So, see you tomorrow. The time is up. And we continue from where we stop tomorrow. Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Manchaka Pataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Vya Vacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo